Hi, I'm Shayna and welcome back to the PCOS channel. This week we have a video from a live where me and Anna talk about supplementation versus medication that is often prescribed for PCOS. And so we'll give you the alternatives of natural supplementation that is just as effective, if not more effective, for your PCOS. Really quickly, before we get into the video though, I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. Please subscribe, like, let me know in the comments what type of content you'd love to see next. If you like these lives, I will be sure to post more. Okay, but yeah, let's now get into the video.
Okay, so
before we start this video, I have to introduce you to this lovely lady named Anna. She's a fellow PCOS sister and has studied physiology and is on her way to becoming a naturopath. She's also achieved weight loss and overcoming her PCOS symptoms completely naturally, just like I have, and she talks all about it on her TikTok and her Instagram, so I highly suggest that you follow because her content is amazing. Without further ado, let's get straight into it.
As I said, I was mainly looking into sort of supplements and sort of the natural approaches of PCOS. Something really interesting I came across when I was looking at B12 and the importance of B12 in PCOS is that actually there have been some really frightening research coming out about metformin causing deficiencies of vitamin B12 and folic acid, and this is with long-term use. And the thing is that with anything that's classified as long-term use, you're never going to know what's going to happen to the body because it's not studied like for that long. It just isn't. Before it's determined as safe in the first like few dosage, and then if that is safe, they just put it out to market a lot of the times. They just wait for things to come in because otherwise you'll be sitting on medication, potentially life-saving medication, for like 10 years. It's not feasible. But the research that's coming out now is that like it is causing a deficiency of B12 and folic acid, and this is increasing like a level of a compound in the blood which contributes to cardiovascular disease. And so one of the things that people talk about on from PCOS is that like women with PCOS tend to develop cardiovascular disease when they're older. The research that I'm seeing at the moment is that it is almost worsened with metformin. That is something that I came across with metformin that I think really needs to be highlighted. But obviously, drug companies aren't going to be pushing forward research on that because metformin is one of the most prescribed like drugs on the market today. They're making shit tons of money off it. So like they're not going to be putting out research that is going to be like controversial to that.
Yeah, but very enlightening for those who like are, obviously taking metformin and they love it, because I've also heard that, some people are like, metformin has been doing wonders for me with my PCOS, but that is scary and that is something definitely to consider, Talked about last time when we were on live last week, a great alternative for metformin is berberine. And I know more supplementation wise, what else may be useful besides just berberine?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads. So berberine, inositol, chromium, calcium, vitamin D. I literally got absolutely loads. And the last one is N-acetyl L-cysteine, which is NAC, and that is shown to be as effective as metformin in ovulation rates and insulin sensitivity, and it's coming out as a new it's currently available as a supplement, but I know that in America they are taking it off the market and they are going to be making a drug version of it because of how effective it is. In the UK we can still get it as a supplement.
The other thing, because we're going back to the diagnosis, right, and being prescribed medication. Another thing was spironolactone. Have you heard about that one? But the spironolactone is basically a steroid that is used usually for high blood pressure and heart failure, water retention. But it's helped women with PCOS reduce certain symptoms associated with hypoandrogenism. So for like the hair, the growth of male pattern hair growth, and then obviously regulating your menstrual cycle and reducing acne.
It also apparently has a side effect of making you develop very large breast.
What?
It's listed as a symptom is enlarged breast. And I was like,
well, okay.
don't mind.
That may be useful for some people, double use for some people. But I mean, there's a lot of risks with it, to be honest. It's often used as a medication for transgender hormone therapy because it does block certain androgens from being produced. Obviously, that's how it helps women with PCOS. But it does have a lot of risks, right? Like the risks that I have found were electrolyte abnormalities, and I'm going to be honest, I don't specifically know what that one means, and I have to do more research in that. But nausea, vomiting, headache, cramps, dizziness, drowsiness, decreased sex drive, which that kind of sucks, and rashes.
Not very good things with the electrolytes. So the electrolytes, what that means is that in your cells you have fluid which has it's got different composition of ions, which is electrolytes, elements, but charged elements. Our body communicates through electricity, but through ionic changes between the cell and then the lymphatic fluid or blood plasma. When you have changes to electrolytes, you have low electrolytes, you don't have the proper amount of it. Then the big ones are potassium, calcium, and sodium. If you don't have the correct concentrations of those, you develop really serious disease symptoms very quickly, and one of the biggest ones is heart attacks, because your heart relies on electrical activity running around the heart, and if that is interrupted because of a bad ionic concentration, that's death. And also, it affects every single cell in your body, so your head, your brain, your muscles, your bones, everything is in most of things are innervated by electrical tissue, and all physiological processes happen in ionic concentrations. So I'd be very concerned about messing with something like that.
But it's classified as a potassium sparing diuretic, so that's probably why balance in the electrolytes. But yeah, that's what I found about that one. I know some people have asked me about that one, but I hadn't heard of it on my own. What about supplementation for specific hyperandrogenism? Specifically? Yeah.
If you have hyperandrogenism, I've heard a lot of people have success with something called seed cycling, and that is when you consume high dosages of seeds throughout your cycle at different points to soak up extra hormones. You would want to probably see someone who's, or you can take herbs that do that as well, that they bind to excess testosterone in the blood. You'd want to go see a herbalist for that. That is completely out of the scope of what one of us can advise you on, because that goes into the realm of traditional Chinese medicines. You want someone who's educated on that. So a lot of plant chemicals, phytonutrients, they can be really helpful with soaking up extra testosterone. That's always really good. So that's just eating a really wide variety of vegetables, more than half your plate of vegetables every meal, you'll be fine. And then a big thing would be xenoestrogens. We're getting rid of those in your environment. So that tends to be plastic and chemicals, which basically interrupt estrogen being made, which causes an increase in the amount of testosterone, because estrogen is made from testosterone. So when you trick your body into thinking you've got too much of estrogen, you then end up with too much testosterone and no estrogen, because the estrogen you've got in your body isn't real estrogen, it's fake. So the biggest thing as a natural approach would be to completely step away from plastic. I've been working over the last 6 months to get it out of my house, all of it, and trying to use more natural products as skincare and makeup. So makeup is still hard work.
Yeah, so I was gonna say with the plastics, do you mean, and that's something that I do want to do deep research into too, is what type of plastics do you mean? Plastics also in your tampons and pads? Because I've made that switch a while ago where I just use 100% cotton pads and things like that. But also consider the fact that there's plastics in your clothes, right? So even pants all the time, which I 100% cotton, but also our clothes are made a lot of plastics. Things that are stretchy always have plastics. We're wearing leggings all the time, plastics. So do you mean plastic that, like literal plastic that's just around us?
There, you can absorb some plastic from the skin, like from on your clothes. I'd be more concerned about sort of dyes and fragrances that can also act as endocrine disruptors, so also be xenoestrogens in the body. The main problem with plastics is plastics in the food. I mean, it's literally everywhere. Like there are babies being born into this world with plastic in the placenta, which means that it's being built into the bodies of children. Like it's been shown. It is disgusting. The best thing you can do is just to make sure that you're never drinking out of a plastic bottle. You are never heating anything in plastic, because that just releases the fibers. You're being very cautious about where you're buying your fish from, because they've all got like plastic in their like meat. You can actually, I saw someone on TikTok put a fish finger under the microscope and you could see like red and blue plastic. It blew my mind.
After this, I'm definitely gonna do some more research into, because it's one thing I've been wanting to do, is doing the research, environmental factors that play into PCOS, and obviously this would be one of them, how plastic affects us. Someone just commented too about spearmint tea. Yes, so spearmint tea has like androgen. I always say androgen, but androgen properties or effects. So that can be another useful thing to supplementation wise for PCOS.
Yeah, that's very good. Having it as a herbal tea is brilliant.
Yeah. Obviously completely natural too, so it's not like a medication and huge side effects or anything like that. So you had just brought up makeup too, and how everyone's going crazy about the waterproof mascara right now.
I've heard about this.
You haven't heard about it?
No,
I think
waterproof
mascara causes cancer. Specifically,
it wouldn't surprise
toxic level of that whatever agent that causes cancer. It has like the highest toxic level versus other things in our makeup. But there's a bunch of our makeup and our nail polish and things like that too that have specific ingredients that have been known to cause cancer.
Yeah, because it's not just affecting women, it's affecting like men as well. Like sperm counts are 50% lower than what they used to be because of plastics. It is not a women's issue. It's everybody.
And it's crazy because, and I don't know if I said this last time, but like in America, right? And in I don't know, I haven't seen it here in Florida. I don't think there's a law for it in Florida, but in California, it's required, because we have obviously like pesticides or weed killers that we spray on the lawns to keep it nice. They have now where they have to put signs, and it says like there's cancer causing agents sprayed in this area, and it's everywhere. I'm talking about like apartment complexes. You walk to your door and you have your sign that says like cancer causing agents, that are commonly here. And we don't, and it's because there's a law that says they have to put a sign where present. But where I don't think Florida has that. So you're walking everywhere where there are things that are causing cancer just openly in our environment that we're in contact with on a daily basis.
I mean, it is everywhere. But the thing is, the good thing is, it is completely possible to like, decrease the toxic load on your body of anything by good nutrition and like exercise that is, good, but not like too OTT, because that can also be quite bad. But like, a very balanced approach with a good amount of like phytonutrients, so plant chemicals. They literally just mop that shit up. They bind to it. They love it. They get it out your body.
What would you say? Would you recommend like, okay, drinking a green juice in the morning, or would you say more so like, making sure that you have each day serving size of greens, or like?
So I personally don't drink juice anymore. I used to live by having like a green juice and an orange juice every single day. The thing is the juices that you buy from the shelves, they aren't going to be the same, like they're not going to be as good as juicing if you were to like get an orange and juice it and then drink it. That would be the only way I would consume juice. But also it's such a high influx of fructose, fruit sugar, that like it's still going to throw your body into absolute havoc. So what I opt for instead is I eat one serving of fruit a day, and it's always dates because I love dates. And instead I focus on just having at lunch and dinner like a huge salad full of everything. I used to hate salad. Turns out I just hated the way that other people make them, because when I make them myself, bang it. I go for a more Mediterranean salad, so it's like tomatoes, cucumber, feta, vegan feta, black olives, like soaked artichoke and olive oil, sun-dried tomatoes, and then like so much fresh herbs. And then for my salad leaves, I do have a little bit of it. I actually grow my own, so I got organic seeds, grow my own, pick them off, add them to like give them a little wash, add them to my meal.
That's so.
And that's going to be
one of the things that I have heard too when it comes to, because I know a lot of people, like you said, you never like salads, and I didn't either. I always had a salad and be like, okay, that was a good, appetizer, but I'm not full. One of the things that, like, I think getting in my greens, because I do, like with my salads mostly, have your carbs in your salads. For instance, like I said, potatoes is really important for satiation, and also healthy fats in there, which can come from the dressing, they come from adding avocado, nuts, but having the right balance of those things so that you are satiated. I found that to be a big win for me. But I want to
definitely.
Someone asked, because we were just talking about metformin, so I guess they joined late. But someone was asking, have either of you been on metformin? I just started, and it's terrible. And then they have a poop emoji. So Anna,
yeah, I've been on metformin. I never had like the diarrhea side effects, thankfully, but like I suffer naturally with like a bit of a predisposition to constipation, so this really didn't help. That made me go the other way. But it also made me like vomit at the same time. It was not very nice. Every time I tried to increase my dosages of like metformin, I'd go through like 3 days of just throwing up everything, which was just the worst, especially because I used to have binge bulimia disorder. And every time I spoke to a doctor about that, they were like, oh, you just need to push through of throwing up for a week and then you'll be fine. And I was there like,
that was worsening. Like,
how can you
terrible.
Binge bulimia disorder like quite clearly on her chart to just keep throwing up for a week and you'll be fine? Like it.
Oh my gosh, that's so terrible.
I stopped using that. Like literally after they told me that, I was like, you know nothing, like you don't, so I'm just going to do my own thing because this isn't working anymore. It was working up until I got pregnant. I was never able to lose weight with PCOS, but it stopped me from gaining weight, from gaining like a lot anyway. So that was something that was good about it, but I never lost weight on it, and now I'm a size 14. I've lost 10 kilograms all by myself without any meds, so it's possible.
Completely possible.
I've always been really interested in insulin resistance. That's the thing that's affected me the most, so naturally I'm going to be mainly interested in that. And a lot of the supplements that I come across specifically in my research are for insulin resistance. So the big one is berberine. That's already good. That's good. And you've spoken about berberine before on your channel.
Berberine, about berberine.
Yeah. That's shown to be as effective as metformin, but without any side effects. It's definitely worth exploring. You probably want to go in England. I would suggest visiting like a herbalist because it is a natural plant derivative, and so if you go to a herbalist, you're going to be getting a very good potent concentration in the right dosage, because it's very hard to give yourself a dosage of like supplements or medication without any sort of like medical knowledge, because a lot of the stuff that's on the market is not enough. It's not at high therapeutic dosages to actually work. And you to see like benefits. So I'd always go and see, if you're going to go down a supplemental route and you're going to be looking at plants, I would definitely see a herbalist because they can give you the correct dose. Now, another one apart from berberine, one that I really like is inositol. And inositol is actually a vitamin. It's a B vitamin that's actually already synthesized in the liver in our body. Now it's been hypothesized that like women with PCOS are deficient in natural inositol, and that's why inositol can, as a supplement, can be very, very beneficial. Now it is important to kind of say that the way to get the most out of inositol is to take it in the plasma physiologic ratio, which is a 40-to-1 ratio, basically how it appears. My partner's just behind me, freak me out. Oh, I've got my dinner. Yeah, so it needs to be in a 40-to-1 ratio because that's the way that it appears in the body. And I read a research study that said if incorrect is used without, or like you've just got myo-inositol without D-chiro-inositol, then what you have form is immature eggs, and it decreases it decreases the efficacy, the work of inositol overall as a treatment for PCOS. So having a good 40-to-1 ratio of myo-inositol and decyro-inositol is the best. So and this helps with insensitivity, egg maturation, and like just supporting egg quality. I really like it. I take a brand called Avasitol. I've actually, and if you're in the UK and you want to know where to get Avasitol, go on to evitamins.com. They are partnered with Theralogics, who are the people who make it in the US. And I actually left a review on it. So if you'll know you're on the right site if there's a mention of PCOS Perfect and in the review section. I've actually had a few followers like who found me from the review.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, and I'm not sponsored by them. So this is all just like completely my own sort of like findings. Yeah, I mean, I also like the fact that it takes away sugar cravings. For me, I'm able to make more informed choices of like the meals that I want to like put in my body.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. I really like inositol. I've never had any like side effects with it either.
One of the things I did want to say too is with the B12 deficiency. My mom, she just messaged me from the room, but she was saying how it's linked. The vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to depression and anxiety, and that's honestly very prevalent in women with PCOS. But I wonder how much more prevalent it is with those who take metformin regularly.
I see that. Also, if you are on metformin and you're developing anemia, that is a big indicator that you are vitamin B12 deficient. Yeah. I was borderline, and when I was on metformin, and I was just being given iron. Because they were thinking, but it was never helping, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then the weird thing is I've come off now. I'm not deficient in B12 anymore, obviously, because I take what I need.
Yeah.
My anemia is gone, so I can't say for certain because I'm obviously not a researcher, and this isn't a blind double-controlled study. But from my experience, this has helped.
Yeah.
Someone's asked me, do you have to take Avasitol at the same time every day? The recommendation is to take it twice a day. I just take it with breakfast and dinner. I will intermittent fast some days. And so like it doesn't really bother me having it at different times. It's not something that I found. I've got so much information here on different kinds of supplements. So I'm definitely going to be posting this onto my Linktree as a Google Drive document. So if anyone really wants to have a look and deep dive into that, all the information is going to be on there, because to be honest, I could sit and talk about this, but how many people are actually going to be retaining information? I don't think a lot. And so everything is going to be in this document. I'll release it today, and then in a week's time, I'll release another document, which is a very simplified version of that, which is a bit more like easy to understand. Yeah. Because yeah, there are so many things that you can do that isn't taking drugs, that is actually going to be fixing some of the root causes of PCOS. And the good thing is that 90% of this comes from diet. You don't need to be going out and spending loads of money on supplements when you can get a lot of it just from changing your diet. Literally everything is just comes from plants.
A lot of medicines that are on, mainstream medications come from plants, I think, too, to understand. When we think about, how can I just overcome, my illness with food? It's true. Let food be thy medicine. Go follow PCOS Perfect for more great content.
Yes, the more people that follow me, the more opportunities I'll get, which will mean that I can spend more of my time doing this and like less of my time doing my virtual assistants business.
Yep.
Which is like my day job. But the more opportunities I get here, the more chance I can like speak to brands that I want to work with. I can get a bit of money coming in. That's the more informational videos I'll be putting. Thank you. And also, can I just say, it's coming home, England.
I don't even know what that is a reference to. What is it?
It's a football.
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 Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys like this type of content. And don't forget, again, to subscribe, like the video, leave all your questions in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye.